Hi, this is Cindy Snyder, and I'm here to present or talk about my presentation. I titled my presentation, Embrace Your Inner Minion. It's about mental health issues in children. Uh, Clinicals were done at the grade school here in town. This is a small town, small community, and I focused on mental health. Uh, I actually had to do two presentations. The first one was done at the grade school itself in the 8th grade class. There's a boy in the class that plays with my children. My children don't go to the public school, but they play, and I tell him he's my long-lost son. So I did his class, and he was my little helper. But unfortunately, there were so many computer glitches and so many issues arise that I spent half the time fixing glitches and trying to make things work that I had to do a second presentation. Now, my children go to a small school called Faith Christian School. It's a 21 schoolroom class. They follow the PACES program. So when I called the principal slash superintendent and told him what had happened and that I needed a video and I needed all this stuff, he was kind enough to let me present it to his school, but I said it had to be for 6th grade on up. So I had 13 students in the presentation that I turned in for students from 6th grade through 12th grade. The focus was on ADHD/ADD, generalized anxiety disorder, with that, we talked about OCD, PTSD, phobias, and Tourette's. I also talked about autism, particularly focused on Asperger's, bipolar, and depression, and lastly, schizophrenia. The use of the minions, I thought, were very appropriate for, first, the age group. They're fun. Everybody can relate to a minion. They're, kids get that. Minions are unique in that they accept themselves for who they are. They don't care about what other people think, and that's why I said to embrace your inner minion, to think like a minion, to just be proud of who you are. And lastly, through my research and all that, I found that the autism community loves minions, particularly for the reasons I had just mentioned. They like to focus on the minions and how they are unique and different, and that they like to focus on that also. I started my presentation by asking a few questions. I asked children and the teacher, have you ever been sick? And a bunch raised their hands, of course, and I asked, what were you sick with? And I got strep throat, common colds, just generic stuff. Then I asked, did you see a doctor? And of course I said, yeah, some did, some didn't. And then, were you diagnosed? Yeah, sinus infection, strep throat, there again. And did you get medications? Some did. And I said, did you get better? And they go, yeah, we got better. Then I went on and I said, mental illness is the same thing. With mental illness, you're sick, you see the doctor, you're diagnosed, you take medications, and you can get better. And they just kind of looked at me like, oh, really? I guess they don't think of it in those terms. And just like any other illness, it needs to be treated. Forms of mental illness. There's short-term mental illness, and I compare that to the strep and sinus infections. Those examples I used were postpartum depression, uh, anxiety over situations that you're going through at the time. Sometimes PTSD can be short-term, and that with that, people will take medicine to just get them over that hump and through the situation, and that is your short-term type of mental illness. Then I talked about hypertension and diabetes. There are two students in the class who has fathers that are diabetics. The one father takes a bunch of medications, and the other one just takes the one medication. With that, I said the same thing with schizophrenia. You know, people will have to take the medication all their life, not just schizophrenia, but mental health. Will have to take medication the rest of their lives, but there are different degrees of mental illness. And because of that, different people have to take different medications. And it doesn't change anything. That's just what they need. Just like a diabetic or someone with hypertension. They need different medications because they're at a different stage of an illness. When I started this, and we were talking about having to pick a subject and a topic and all that, I kind of was thinking, okay, I really don't want to go with the diet issue. And I thought, well, how about bullying? You know, that is an issue, and I know they have that problem at the grade school here and in this town, unfortunately. But October 1st happened. So what happened on October 1st was the Rosenberg, Oregon school shooting with Christopher Harper Mercer. He killed 8 students, 1 teacher, and injured 9 others. Christopher attended a special school when he was younger. He was emotionally and had emotional issues, emotional difficulties. And the school he attended was for teachers they taught students with special needs, difficulties, autism, particularly Asperger's. And then I started looking some more. Adam Lanza, Sandy Hook, 2012. By the age 13, he was diagnosed with sensory integrated disorder and Asperger's, also OCD. 2 other ones, James Holmes, 2012, Aurora, Colorado. Killed 12, injured 70 people at a movie theater. All at age 11, he tried to commit suicide. He was diagnosed with intrusive thought disorder and schizotypal personality disorder. And then I'm going to chop the name up. Shang Hu Cho, 2007, Polytech, Virginia. Killed 32, injured 17 people. At middle school, he was labeled troubled. He had autism and a selective mutism disorder. And there were a bunch more. I could have just gone on and on and on about the shootings that have occurred, that most of these people had some form of mental illness, and they were all diagnosed and started in the middle school, high school time, and they just kind of fell through the cracks. I also talked about stigma. People not getting help because they don't want to be labeled as crazy. They don't believe in mental health. They don't think that medication will help them. The school shootings proved that if people don't treat their illness, things can happen. Just like, and I used there again, back to diabetes. I used the example of diabetics, that if they don't take their medication, they may lose a leg. They may lose their eyesight. They will lose feelings in their fingers. Things happen when you don't treat the illness that you have. Then I talked about the statistics. 1 out of 5 children experienced mental health. So there were 13 students there and 2 adults. So technically 3 people in that class could have had mental illness. And for a small group, that's pretty big. Also, suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death for the age group 10 through 24. That's pretty sad. In fact, I just had a coworker who's also my daughter's father-in-law, whose son just killed himself when he was 23. That's, unlike diabetes, sometimes when you just lose a leg or an arm or something like that, with mental health, you can lose a life, and then that life touches all these other lives, just because they didn't want the stigma of being labeled as having a mental health issue. Through all this and through all my studies, you know about ADHD, you know about some OCD, autism, but the one thing I didn't think of, and it just kind of struck me as like, oh, really, was the PTSD. Coming from a small community and having been an ER nurse for 16 years, I can see a lot of these children could suffer from PTSD. And a lot of the symptoms are very similar to ADHD and ADD. And it just makes you wonder, are these children wrongly diagnosed? That people are quick to diagnose one when there's something else going on. And that's scary too, because with mental illness, and I was going to bring this up later, there are no markers like with diabetes or hypertension. You can check your sugar, you can check your blood pressure. There are no diagnostic testings. There's no, there's nothing. To even prove that someone had Alzheimer's, you have to wait till the person dies. You just go by their symptoms and their behavior. So it is, you need to be well informed and know what's going on. And in a lot of these homes, these kids probably suffer more PTSD than they do ADHD. Through all this, also, I found this very interesting. Like I said, I had picked Minions because they are so unique and they're just fun and stuff, but they diagnosed 10 cartoon characters, and I'm just going to do this really fast just for the fun of it. Calvin is diagnosed with schizophrenia with hallucinations. Charlie Brown is number 9 with avoidant personality disorder, go figure. Batman, schizotypal personality disorder, PTSD, and depression. The Hulk, multiple personality disorder or possible dissociative personality disorder. Ariel the Mermaid, Disposophobia, Disposo phobia. That's the fear of getting rid of stuff. So basically, she's a hoarder. The Minions, number 5, are the true spirit of ADHD. Dora, the Explorer, she's got dissociative fugue, F-U-G-U-E. And she goes on trips and forgets all about them. And then she's also got paranoid schizophrenia and hears voices and hallucinates. Then Chucky Finster from the Rugrats, he's got generalized anxiety disorder. Dexter, the little genius, he's got classic symptoms of Asperger's. And then, this blew me away. Bugs Bunny is number 1.
Coyote will howl on me. Oh, dear, hoo. Gosh, ain't I a stinker? La-ta-ta-ting, la-ta-ta-ta-dum.
Impulsive behavior, borderline personality disorder with antisocial tendencies. I thought that was awesome. I work at Chester Mental Health. And with working there, we have the worst of the people in Illinois, and psychiatric people. Uh, Elgin, Chicago, Reed, Choate. These are forensic patients. These are patients that committed some sort of crime, and then they go to a medium security place. When the medium security place can't handle them or they're out of control, they send them to us. We're pretty much a dumping ground, and we are a maximum security forensic unit. So when I see these patients and they come in and I talk to them, some people just want to look at the crime they committed. But really, what in them happened that caused them to commit some of these crimes? And some of them are horrendous. Some of them never had a chance. I know there's a couple guys there whose father and grandfather are the same guy. Some of these people were abused as children. Some are homeless. Some just have schizophrenia to the point where they just have no reality. There's no basis for reality for these people. We have just all sorts. Then some of these people did have good lives. They did grow up in good families. But then they ended up with a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. We had one guy that came in, and he was an aspiring basketball star. He was playing for the Lakers, and he got hit in the head with a crowbar, caused TBI, and it's never been the same since. And it's just, it's sad. And so I don't look at, when I take care of these patients, although I do know what they've done and why they're there, I don't look at the crime. I look at the illness. And that's what you need to do with mental health. You need to look at the illness. Because with mental health, it affects who we are, how we are, and where we're going in life. And some people just can get so filled with negative, and it just can tear them down. I come from a line of mental health in my family. My mom had agoraphobic. She was agoraphobic. She had suffered from depression and then general anxiety disorders. My oldest brother tried to commit suicide multiple times. He had different types of depression. My sister, same thing. My brother has a form of Tourette's. So I grew up in a mental illness atmosphere, and I'm ADD myself. And when I look back on my video, I was able to tell, it's like, oh, I really had a hard time because of nerves and everything, following my script. I'm doing that today, and it's a whole lot easier because there's nobody technically watching me yet. So it's easier for me to follow my script. Where there, even though I had it, my brain goes so fast, I can't keep up with it. And I know we weren't supposed to read the PowerPoint, but I ended up having to read it because I just couldn't keep up with my thoughts. And I even took my medicine. And I had postpartum depression with the last, from Tyler, Matthew, last 4 babies. So I've been there. I've walked the roads. So I get some of this, and my heart goes out to these people. And I think just like anything else, they talk about early detection with cancer, even with diabetes or anything else. Early detection is always the best. And if you can get that help, get what's needed, then there can be hope. So my goal in all this was to inform and enlighten, to bring in an awareness to, and like with any other disease process, like I had said, early detection is the best. Dorothy Dainty, a therapist from Psychology Today, said after the Sandy Hook shooting, "We cannot ignore the need for mental health treatment. It may be somebody's life at stake if we don't." And that's been proven. We need to help these kids, the ones with PTSD, because once they have one, there's a good chance they'll have multiple. ADHD, you can end up with depression. PTSD, all kinds of issues. Schizophrenia, that's just, usually when there's one, there's another involved. Back to my presentation. When I gave my presentation, like I said, I had a hard time keeping up with my script, with my thoughts, and all that, and I know some of that. And I felt comfortable with these kids. I know them. Two of them are my own children. I knew all the kids, but it's still just kind of nerve-wracking and knowing that I wanted to do good by them. But with that, before the presentation, I had handed out some papers. I had handed out a list of definitions because I was afraid that sometimes I forget that people don't know the same stuff that I know, that the nurse's lingo. So I put some words in there and definitions, and I didn't end up using half of them. But just in case I did, I had myself covered. I said, if there's a question, it's in there. I also gave them a list of famous people and successful people who have a form of, I gave an ADHD one, a schizophrenic, an Asperger's, OCD, and one just general with all of them on there. Just so that they can see, hey, look at these people. Who would have thunk? Like Dan Aykroyd's got Asperger's. It makes sense now that you think on him when he's on talk shows and stuff like that. He's a little inadequate. He's a little, you think, wow, he's a little weird. Yeah, so with that, then after my PowerPoint and everything, I also had evaluation sheets that I gave to the children that they would rate me from 1 banana to 5 bananas because Minions like bananas. And so that was my presentation. I hope my PowerPoint, you were able to see all the animation and stuff. And I hope you were able to enjoy it. And thank you.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and
ba 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 banana, ba 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 ba